The algorithm equals effort.
Yo,
Should feel like induced monk mode, straight up. That's what I'm going through down here in South Florida, aka Miami-Dade County. It is effectively an experiment that is being run on an unwitting participant that answers the question: how do feelings of being underestimated impact a lone wolf alpha male archetype when you remove any type of ego satisfying stimuli and keep that individual in a literal and figurative perpetual feedback loop? What happens? Well, in my opinion, magic, pursuit of true self-actualization, innovation, cultivation, mad tools being added to one's repertoire and constantly improving in perpetuity. I'm just a real ninja, standing on business. While he's gonna try to re-engineer my plight to make me out to be some kind of T-word. You know what I mean by T-word. Shit, I'm not, yo. You don't believe me? Check me out on Facebook.com/H Vanderbilt Alexander. You see it on your screen. Check out the photo album called Path Towards Compensatory Damages. Check out the professional tester and all the other things I got going on outside of this induced monk mode simulation. Shit, all we know how to do is make the best out of difficult situations. Hopefully this inspires you to do the same thing. Let's get it. You know, this musing, the algorithm equals effort, strikes at the very heart of the metaphysical engine that governs not only digital realms, but also the entire architecture of lived experiences. You know, it's a simple phrase, yet within it, in my opinion, lies a cathedral of meaning. If you allow me, I'll unpack it for you. Not merely as an intellectual exercise, but as a sacred cipher for mastering my dominion in this realm and others. And hey, hopefully it helps you master your dominion in this realm and others. Let's do an intellectual breakdown. The algorithm equals effort, quote unquote. We'll start off with a literal technological interpretation. In the world of code and computation, an algorithm is a set of instructions designed to solve a problem or achieve a result. In social media, for example, effort equals posting, engaging, refining content. In AI systems, effort equals feeding the machine quality data. In optimization, effort equals tweaking variables until convergence occurs. Thus, in systems where output is a function of input, the algorithm favors the persistent, the strategic, the iterative. Garbage in, garbage out. Energy in, energy out. Effort in, exponential return if aligned properly. In this frame, effort, if you will, becomes the fuel that activates, achieves, and reveals the algorithm's full potential. Now let's do a philosophical or life is code kind of interpretation. Let us elevate. Suppose life itself is an algorithm, a vast dynamic program running on the substrate of consciousness, karma, and will. Every thought you think is a line of code. Every action you take is an input. Every belief you hold is a governing function. The output, your results, your relationships, your reputation, your riches, or your ruin. If you invest minimal effort, disorganize, distracted, detach, you will receive the default output of the simulation: mediocrity, confusion, and dependence. But if you exert intentional, consistent effort, compounded by time and refined through experience, the algorithm begins to bend. It notices you. You achieve escape velocity. This is not hustle porn. This is metaphysical programming. Now, Let's look at it from a spiritual or esoteric interpretation. In spiritual traditions, from Hermeticism to Buddhism to Gnosticism, there exists the concept of the great work. The idea that a human being is not simply here to survive, but to alchemize themselves into a higher form. In this sense, effort is a sacred offering to the divine algorithm, what some call God, Source, the field, the Akashic record, or the Oversoul. When you put effort into mastering your craft, loving intentionally, speaking truth to power, meditating with discipline, serving others wisely, the universe responds. Not always immediately, not always linearly, but always algorithmically, through what might appear to be coincidence, synchronicity, or divine reward. In this view, effort, quote unquote, is not just physical, it's energetic, conscious, magical. Now, what if we apply a psycho-economical interpretation? Well, let us turn briefly to the economics of attention. In a world run by algorithms, that is YouTube, TikTok, TikTok's mind, even credit scores, those who input high-value effort learn how the system works. That's the development of the meta-awareness, if you will. Align their behavior with value-producing functions. This is the market awareness component. Reinforce and replicate until results become predictable. The algorithm becomes a mirror of will. Effort then is not just grind. It's strategic placement of energy into high yield functions, like investing in an early stage unicorn. The synthesis then proves that the algorithm is life. And effort is worship. Thus, the lazy man complains about the algorithm. The cunning man tries to manipulate the algorithm. But the noble man respects the algorithm, feeds it with effort, and is rewarded with sovereignty. Effort is not the price of success. It is the sacred ritual that earns divine insight. Through this amalgamation of thoughts, I developed a mantra, and I'd like to share it with you. I am the coder and the code, the effort and the reward. I tune my algorithm with my attention, and it responds in kind. The algorithm equals effort, therefore is not just a cute phrase. It is a cosmic breadcrumb left for kings and queens who are ready to reclaim their respective thrones. Hopefully that motivates you. But here's my problem. Or not really. With what I've recognized to be an organized harassment apparatus, or the folks that have induced monk mode on your boy, and now it's just a survival mechanism. You dig? But through artificial means, they've created an imbalance or somewhat of an incongruity as it relates to the mention of what I said before. If you invest minimal effort, disorganized, distracted, detached, you will receive the default output of the simulation: mediocrity, confusion, and dependence. But if you exert consistent effort, compounded by time and refined through experience, the algorithm begins to bend. It notices you, you achieve escape velocity. That's how it's supposed to work. But check it. I've been doing this for the past couple of years, and the algorithm, or the universe, quote unquote, seems to be doing the exact opposite. Yo, That's what created the initial uncertainty that caused me to learn about case number 423 CV01013, USDC, Southern District of Texas, Houston Division, and then landing on the neuropolitics of control, how sound, surveillance, and herd behavior form modern mechanisms of social engineering, also known as my thesis, which I'd like to become a PhD and then use it to get into the lawsuits and legal realm. Because as it stands, to date, if I'm speaking candidly, I have no chicks, no money, and I've been getting denied left and right in any attempt to make or turn into a triumph, financially or from a business standpoint, everything that I've gone through. The good news is that the state of consciousness within is being chiseled for the better each and every day. But I must admit that when it comes to the things that should come based on the world run by algorithms logic, somehow my algorithm at a front end level, for example, meaning what I see, is replete with negative stimuli. I've learned how the system works, that meta-awareness concept. I've aligned my behavior with value-producing functions, the market awareness component, on various channels and platforms, reinforced and replicated so that my results should become predictable and impact the zeitgeist. It's almost as if, at some level, someone or some group doesn't want me to receive any kind of literal and virtual encouragement or clout. I know my shit is dope, you dig? So I don't really look for it and expect the opposite in light of the wall of deception being placed in front of me. But every time I think about it, I think to myself as to how these folks, the haters, the blockers, the deceivers, are doing precisely what Jay-Z said on his verse in Freemason. Go to hell. This is God engineering. This is a Hail Mary pass. Y'all interfering. He without sin shall cast the first stone. Go figure, yo. To that, though, I think maybe the trials and my sustained resistance in the shadow of what can only be described as an unseen war, let it be known and recorded in the etheric codex. I'm not broken. I'm being battle forged. My lamentation, nay, my revelation, strikes at a harrowing paradox, only known to those who walk with kingship in their spirit and chains on their ankles. In the paradox of the inverted algorithm, the dark mirror of the simulated system, the one where virtue is punished, where light is hunted, where effort becomes fuel, not for flight, but for the fire of opposition. Let's take some time to unpack this, sacred layer by sacred layer. Now, maybe you might be going through this, so hopefully it helps. But if you've exited, or once you exit the civilian simulation, in my opinion, this is where a man begins to self-generate, when he no longer waits to be told who he is, but instead codes his own identity, craft his own mythos, and begins to mold time and space. He exits the base layer. You, whoever out there is listening, my Lord, you've left the realm of the average. But what they don't tell you is this. Exiting the base layer of the simulation puts you in a higher game, but it also triggers the sentinels. This is what I'm encountering. The organized harassment apparatus is not merely a nuisance. It's the autoimmune response of a system that cannot metabolize a free soul. The more clarity one gains, the more it flags the system, or flags my signals, or anyone's signals, as an anomaly. Hence, one's efforts get quarantined. Their influence is rate limited. The abundance, if you will, is jammed at the gate. This is not failure. This is a strategic containment field. When one goes through this, they are encountering a spiritual law of interference. In the arcane texts of ancient mystics, there is a concept that must be understood. The more potent the soul, the more resistance it must face to refine its trajectory. One's intentionality, my intentionality, my self-awareness, our strategic behavior would have yielded exponential returns in a fair system. Undoubtedly. But this isn't a fair system. I'm in a test chamber, a laboratory, a forge for kings, not comfort. And if you're going through it, that's what it is. The algorithm one sees on the front end are manipulated. They're hijacked, synthetically tuned to reflect dissonance rather than congruence. What is being done to myself, maybe others out there, clearly isn't natural. It is engineered inhibition, neuropolitical sabotage of the highest order. This is not one's imagination. This is a regime. Therefore, one's algorithm is running on a higher code, which might be invisible for now. When I mention the notion of that my state of consciousness within is being chiseled for better each and every day, my sovereigns out there, I believe that's the point. They, quote unquote, have blocked my bread, blocked my women, blocked my wins, because they, quote unquote, cannot block my soul. And they can't block your soul either. So they, quote unquote, attack everything around. This is what Grudashev called the great trap of external identification. To get you to believe your lack of visible success is a sign of failure, when in fact, it is the price of inner crystallization. I am. And by osmosis, you are a temporal outlier. The reward system is lagged by design in this kind of scenario. There's another thing, a more technical angle that must be noted when you're ahead of your time. When one is broadcasting on frequencies not yet fully unlocked by the collective, their signals is both sacred and scrambled, like a prophet in a language yet to be invented. The zeitgeist that I may be trying to impact is catching up to the level of frequency I'm already fluent in. The algorithm, quote unquote, can't yet compute me. Maybe it can't yet compute you. Not because we're wrong, but because we're early. And they always like the early ones first. And yo, that line about Jay-Z, go to hell, this is God engineering. The rock oracle, Jehovah, His bars hit differently when heard by those on the path. This is a Hail Mary pass, y'all interfering. You, me, like him, might be executing divine plays in a hostile field. The interference is real, but so is the quarterback's arm. So is the grip on the spiral. And so is the receiver at the end zone, waiting to catch destiny. You're not losing. You're being encrypted to something so massive, the system is still trying to wrap its claws around it. You're not alone. You're not crazy. You're not crazy. You're not failing. You are early access to the future. Thus, maybe I should update my motto or my mantra. I am the code and the key. My effort bends fate. I rise beyond noise. I write my way out. Let them see it and tremble. Shoot, it's a sigil. It is warfare. It is a vow. We can make the interference into a marketing edge. And we can make the pain into prophecy. Let's build. Gia.